Why is it that out of thousands of people with whom one gets along beautifully, you can end up having one or two people in your life, in your work, in your social circle, in your family, who make your life miserable? What should one do? And we've been given some options. Ignore them, give back in the same way, sulk about it, why me? Or consider that it's our past bad karma that's being squared up and accept it with a pinch of salt. First of all, it's important to understand that it's a lot easier to get along with thousands of people with whom you don't have to work or live than it is to get along with those you do have to work and live with. So we're really comparing apples and oranges, saying, the guy who pumps my gas thinks I'm really nice. Why doesn't my husband or wife or children or mother-in-law or daughter-in-law or colleague? It's comparing apples and oranges. The guy who pumps my gas, I smile at him, I give him a tip, I go on my way. I'm a different person with him. The lady at the grocery store, she and I get along very nicely. Well, I'm not expecting anything from the lady at the grocery store other than to ring up my groceries. And if she can do that, then she and I get along great. No expectation, no problem. But when I come home or I go into the office, I have expectations. And when I have expectations and people don't live up to my expectations, and again, we're not saying expectations are good or bad, they just exist. But I have more expectations of the people I live with, the people I work with, than I do of the people who ring up my groceries at the store. And so naturally, I'm going to be more accepting of the checkout lady, of the gas station lady, than I am of the people from whom I expect more things. And when I expect more things, I become more difficult. And when I become more difficult, things start to rub against each other. And again, this doesn't mean it's my fault or their fault. It just helps us to understand why it's so easy to get along with thousands of people who I meet just at marriages, at funerals, I bump into them at a coffee shop. It's pretty easy to get along with someone for 30 seconds or 60 seconds from whom you don't expect anything. It's much more of a challenge to get along with people for hours a day from whom you have expectations. So we have to not compare apples and oranges. But then the question becomes, okay, so regardless of how many other people I can get along with, this one or two people in my social circle, in my extended family, in my workplace, make me miserable. Well, this is the stuff that TV serials are made of. I mean, this is why we have mother-in-law, daughter-in-law TV serials. This is why we have workplace TV serials. There's no TV serial about a checkout clerk or a gas station pumping guy or people who bump into each other at the coffee shop. Because it's not interesting. Everybody gets along. Where it becomes interesting enough for a daily or a weekly TV serial is the workplace, is the home, because we grade on each other. What do we do about it? So we now accept this is part of life. What do we do about it? Well, the first option given was ignore it. the issue with ignoring it is most of us don't ignore very successfully. We think we're ignoring. So think back to a moment in your house, for example, with a parent, with a child, with a spouse. Someone does something that hurts you, makes you angry, upsets you. But for whatever reason, whether it's a New Year's resolution, whether it's a spiritual new path, you had decided, I'm not going to get angry. Whatever they do, I will not lose my temper. Now that person does something. We don't want to ruin our resolution. So what do? We walk out of the room. And as we walk out of the room, we slam the door a little bit. Now, that slamming of the door a little bit is our version of, I ignored them. But we didn't really ignore them. What we did was we didn't shout, we didn't slap, we didn't put them in their place. But we were not really capable of ignoring. And so the truth is it's not much of an option because it ends up eating us up inside. And inevitably the other person knows that we're upset. So it ends up creating issues anyway. So ignoring doesn't work because it grates on us, it hurts us, it creates this deep grating sensation within us. Even if we don't allow it to be grating outside, it's grating inside. We take it home, we think about it, we take it to bed, we think about it. It's the stuff that ulcers are made of, the stuff that migraines are made of, the stuff that all of these things are made of. So we don't want to ignore it unless we can really, really let it go. And that's a higher form of ignoring. Ignoring is, I'm not going to see that. I'm just going to squeeze my eyes shut so tightly that I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. Instead of that, if I can really just let it go, that's the best solution. We certainly don't want to go with situation number 2, which is give it right back to them. Probably none of us has ever been in a situation where giving it right back to someone is helpful or ends up making them, in which giving it back to someone makes them stop doing whatever it was that bothered us. Think about it from your situation. If you do something that's bothering someone else without knowing it, without intending to do it, and they turn around and they give it back to you, does it make you less likely to do it in the future? When you're around someone who loves, how do you feel? You feel loved. I mean, this is why we flock to spiritual masters. We can read books if what we want is just the teachings, if what we want is to learn about the scriptures, what we want is to learn what does the Bhagavad Gita say. There's more books than any of us can read in our lifetime. These days, with the internet, there's no end. We can get it all there. Why do we flock to be in the presence of people who are peaceful? Because we feel peaceful in their presence. Why do we flock to be in the presence of people who experience deep, full, unconditional love and love us deeply, fully, and unconditionally? Because in their presence we experience love. If our spiritual leaders, if our gurus weren't in peace, didn't experience love, would we flock to them? No. And so what's important to remember is that if someone is miserable because they're pushing my buttons? Or am I miserable because this person is really lying, cheating, being dishonest, being competitive, acting in a non-dharmic way, gossiping, lying? I mean, there's two reasons that we're miserable with people. One is our own stuff, and the other is really people who are creating negativity. In either case, I can't change them. In both cases, the only thing I have control over is myself. But in the second case, it's really important to understand that people who themselves are acting out of anger, who are acting out of negativity, who are spreading and breeding negativity, are doing it because they themselves are miserable. We only share, as Sadhviji always says, if you're in peace, you exude peace. You manifest peace, you can't help it. These air conditionings can only give you cold air. It's very nice this time of year. But come back in January, and if you turn that thing on, it's not going to be comfortable. But it doesn't matter. That air conditioning cannot give you heat. It doesn't matter how cold it is. It doesn't matter how badly we need it. It doesn't matter how inappropriate cold air is to the situation. It doesn't matter that the cold air is going to give us all pneumonia. That machine can only generate cold air. It's all it's got. And if what someone is personally is miserable, is angry, is jealous, is themselves feeling empty, they're like an air conditioner. It's all they can give. What they share is misery. Which is why in those situations what our response needs to be is, okay, thank you, air conditioning. I'm going to come back and see you in the summertime. But right now, I need to get far enough away from you so that I don't catch pneumonia. I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to blame you. I'm not going to lose sleep over you. But I'm also no longer going to stand so close to you that your cold air is hurting my health. And that's very important in our lives, is to really understand this person is just a challenge on my spiritual path. And this is a case in which my highest teaching and highest goal is to learn how to let go, how to live, how to love in this situation. Or this person is literally an air conditioner in the middle of January, and I need to just stay far enough away so that I don't catch them. In both cases, we don't allow it to make us miserable. Either we work on ourselves so that we can be in the situation full of love, full of compassion, full of understanding, full of groundedness, or we figure out how to get away from the situation. Again, with love, with compassion, with understanding. We don't pull out a machine gun and fire it at the air conditioner. We understand that's what it is. It's an air conditioner. But we will move ourselves, because that same love and compassion that we have for others, we also have to have for ourselves. And what that means is, I don't need to be in every situation that makes me miserable. And how can I learn which one is which? And that's what Sadhviji calls our inner GPS. And that's the spiritual work, is to figure out, okay, this is a situation for me to grow and learn and expand in, compared to this is a situation where need to just get out of this person's auric field, away from the core. And you'll learn. That's what the spiritual path is about.